Welcome to lesson 4. Today we are talking about the resistance. And the resistance is something that there's some great authors that I enjoy reading that talk about it. Seth Godin is one of them. He brings this up in a lot of his work. He talks about it in Linchpin and a few others. And Stephen Pressfield in War of Art also talks about it. And their interpretation of it is it's that part of us that's holding us back from really bringing our value out into the world or bringing our true potential out of ourself. We all have resistance. This is a very human thing. And I wanted to share a story before I get into it about a client that I worked with. He's in Miami, super cool guy. And he used to refer to the resistance and things like the resistance as like a dragon, and his thing that he said to me that really stayed with me was he said, you don't need to slay the dragon. You learn to ride the dragon. And I found that this was really helped me a lot in a lot of different ways. And one of the ways I played with this idea was physically. A couple of years ago, I started doing obstacle course racing because it was just a really fun thing to stay in shape. And, I was recognizing that really I don't overcome the obstacles. It's better to become one with the obstacles. Figure out how to make yourself work within the structure of the thing that's standing between you and where you're trying to go. So when we're thinking of resistance, we want to think of it as it's not our enemy, right? And it's not something that we have to make go away or overcome. It's something that we're going to learn to move with. We're going to dance with it, whatever metaphor that you want to have. And when you do that, for me anyway, I found that it became a lot less stressful. And with clients, when I talk to them about this, doing like the one-on-one coaching type thing, it took a lot of pressure off. They always felt better because now our conversation was one about solutions and creative ways to leverage resistance to our benefit. So I've got my card here and just a couple things to think about as you're playing with this idea. And the first thing is what they're thinking in terms of the resistance allows us to separate the problems from the root cause behind the problem. And especially if you're in some kind of a service-based thing where you help people, there are the problems, right? So I'll give you like a really simple one that's really prevalent. Let's say weight loss, right? So for a lot of people, they're focused on weight loss, right? They're carrying a little extra weight. They want to get rid of it. So the problem is they feel that they weigh too much, right? But we know that that's not actually the problem. That's a symptom, right? So, but there's resistance behind that. And it may be that there's nutrition things they have to do or exercise things they have to do, or they have to figure out certain genetic, historical type things, whatever it may be, right? So, but often before you can work with a client, you first have to connect to what they see as the problem that needs to be solved before you can move the conversation over to the resistance that you need to move with. And I'll give you like a super simple example of this. One of the people that I worked with doing the lifestyle project, he was trying to increase the amount of water he was drinking. And we were talking about the fact that he loves soda and he was really struggling with having to make this decision and reduce soda. And the solution he came up with as we started talking about this idea of riding that resistance to drinking less soda, he took a pitcher of water, he put it in front of the soda in the refrigerator so that when he opened the refrigerator, he had to reach around the water to grab the soda. And just that act of giving himself the ability to make a choice and actually make it easier to make the choice he wanted to make more of, in like a day, he had cut the amount of soda he was drinking in half. Right? So that's what we're thinking about. So, you've got the problems that you're solving for yourself, for your clients, in your business, in your life, right? But then what's behind that? What's the actual resistance that you need to learn to ride, right? To be successful in doing that so that the problem just seems to shrink. And it sort of almost feels like it resolves itself, but it's not. It's your focus and your attention on the resistance part of the equation. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is, especially when you're thinking about your business, dissolve the resistance, right? Ride the resistance through design. Okay, I'm so, at this point in my professional career, I'm very anti-hustle culture. The try harder, grind it out, I'll sleep when I'm dead. It's exhausting. And honestly, it's not sustainable in the long term. And I found, after several cycles of burning out, getting sick, just having relationships, not work out, business struggles, all that kind of stuff. It was because I kept trying harder to make things work instead of just rethinking the design and making it more think like a flywheel, right? A flywheel, the whole idea is once you get it moving, it stays moving, right? If it's got a wobble, you don't keep pushing the flywheel. Maybe you need to grease the axle. Maybe you need to trim it off and make it more even. You look at how the flywheel is designed and you improve its function, right? That's where the focus goes. So when you're thinking about the resistance, these sticking points, these areas of difficulty, instead of just shoving harder against them and trying to do more of what you've already been doing, try rethinking things a little bit, reimagine it. Sometimes you have to deconstruct a little bit, and that will reveal to you some design flaws that may just be blind spots of yours. And again, it's always good to get help or ask people or look at other people doing similar things to you do. What's their design? Are they doing some interesting things that could benefit you, right? So that's the second thing. And then the third one is leverage your resistance by building healthy tension. Okay. And again, I think it was Dennis Waitley years ago in The Psychology of Winning. He said the only truly tensionless state is death, which probably we don't want to go that far, right? So resistance is healthy, right? From when I lift, it's the resistance that stimulates growth, that maintains strength, right? The challenges you face on your hero's journey, like we talked about, that's what gave you the skill sets you have. That's what lets you have a foot in both worlds and be an advocate and a force for the cause that you're championing, right? So, don't feel like you have to make the resistance go away. I do workshops for organizations and different things. And one of the things we talk about to them, the problem they want to solve in one of these workshops is stress management. And in my world, you don't manage stress, right? You can have too much of it, and that can create some problems, right? In your organization, in your health, all that kind of thing. You can also have too little of it, and then things become stagnant. There's a lack of growth. So we talk about stress surfing. It's like finding that ability to become skillful in navigating the stress as it comes and go. So again, it's just ways to learn to ride the dragon. And if you think about it, the surfer on the wave, I know I'm mixing a ton of metaphors here, but I'm just kind of talking about it in different analogies to help you think your way through this. So anyway, when the surfer is riding the wave, the more they ride the wave, the more skillful they become, the less concerned they are with the intensity of the next wave. In fact, they start looking forward to it, right? So have that relationship with your resistance as best you can. Get the reps in, get skillful, test things, rethink things, and make your dragon your friend, And yes, you always have to pay attention. You don't want to get burned. You don't want to fall off, right? But over time, you'll find that the resistance is what's going to open up all kinds of opportunities for you to not only grow your business, but also scale it. Because the more that you resolve those tension points, the easier it's going to be for you to recruit and develop a team that helps you with your mission and your cause, which takes the pressure off of you, right? It's no fun being the genius with 1,000 helpers. As we move through this series, we'll be talking about that and that shift from, especially if you're in that kind of one-person show mode, how to make that shift so that it's not all reliant on you. But anyway, a big part of that is looking at the problems, at seeing those as symptoms, and then digging in until you can figure out what the underlying cause, the resistance is, and then learn to ride it, learn to address it.